Hello my lovelies and welcome to my channel, Colours of Nature Art. And today finally, and I confess I am almost a year late, I have finally completed the Dephemerember 2023 journal. And you will find that it has a rather surprise ending to a junk journal, which will be revealed a bit later on. Now the delay really was due to chronic illness plus a major operation, and then when I watched Luise's and Barbara's recent video about Dephemerember 2024, and they were saying it doesn't matter how late you upload a video, it gave me the courage to go ahead and show you my completed 2023 journal with the surprise ending. Right, so I went with this beautiful, it's rose coloured velvet. It feels lovely. And I kept with the winter theme. So we've got some snowflakes on the back. As you can see, it is a chunky journal, and it is probably a bit too chunky. And I still got to do a closure for it. But keeping with the Dephemerember and December winter theme, I've put icicles for the dingle dangles on the back. Don't know if you can hear them. They sort of sounded a bit icicly, but when I did that earlier, a couple of the icicles fell off. But they was. You may also have noticed that Ephy has a little friend. Now, I don't know if Luise knows he's got a little friend. But he turned up on my craft desk last year in December, and then he turned up again in February when it snowed a bit. And his little friend is my channel logo, Little Katie Country Mouse. Now, I don't know, I had to cover this with Perspex because I used glitter, and whenever I use glitter it just seems to go everywhere. Because this was on the cover, everything was getting covered in glitter. But anyway, there they are playing in the snow. And so to the inside. Well, first of all, I just hope that's straight. I'm having problems getting that straight in the camera. I hope that's all right. And those of you who've been doing Dephemerembers, here's the prompt sheet. And I have to say, in my journal, I didn't keep to the order that we've got here. So I've got to try to remember what the prompts were for each of the pages. And again, keeping with the winter theme, this is one of my own digitals that I designed and printed. And if anybody's interested in having some of these printables, let me know in the comments below, and see what we can do. And that's continuing the winter theme here. I printed this onto vellum just using an inkjet printer, and that's how that came out. So this is the first prompt, which was clocks and wings. And as you can see, I've got the wings here for my clock and little mouse swinging on the pendulum. And I added a few fussy cuts. We've got little butterfly and a clock there, little mouse up the top, and then down here there's a honey pot and a bee, and I put an extra quote on this one, which is, "Stands the clock at 10 to 3, and is there honey still for tea?" And that's by a very famous British poet called John Betjeman. So then we come to the next page. Now this was the page I left till last. I really didn't want to do a selfie in a bubble. When you get to a certain age, and I'm almost 70, you're not too sure about putting your photo, but I got the camera out. Normally I do a lot of photography and I'm filming wildlife and nature, so I had to put myself in front of the camera for the selfie. But also in a little bubble we put little Katie Country Mouse, because she's my channel logo, and there she is, she's painting a selfie. So it's a selfie painting a selfie. This next page I can't really show you because it's to do with the surprise ending. The quote was mushroom robots, but more than that I am not revealing until the end. The next page, I really loved this one. This prompt was plaid and polka dots, please touch. And it started off with this, I'd had this little image of a hedgehog for, months and months and months. And I think originally it was one of the little felt hedgehogs that people can make, and it was just an image. And I decided to take some cotton wool, and so I dyed it. That was quite a performance and quite messy, but I was quite pleased with the result. It's very tactile, but of course you can't touch it, but believe me, it is. And so there's autumn leaves all coming down, different colours, and some red ones for the apples, and then that's my bit of plaid going down on the side. Now the next prompt was Halloween meets Christmas, and I had quite a bit of fun with this one as well. As you can see, I don't know what that is stuck on it. We've got some lovely cobwebs at the top, and again I made a digital printable for the background because I wanted to get all the really sort of gothic window and this haunted feeling, and I designed a nice cut out pumpkin lantern to go with it and put the Christmas tree in. And then, continuing the theme of Halloween and Christmas, we've got bats with hats, and then on the back I just said Merry Hallowishmas, and I used some mica paints for that. So we put the bats with hats back in there, put it like that so that we can see the spooky window. And this page, again, I just added some embossed spider's webs on this bit, continuing that theme. And then over here, that was just the back of one of Luise's printables, and another one of mine on just a bit of velvet. The next page was me and my crush. Well, I'm afraid little Katie Country Mouse got in here as well. And here she is. If I lift it up, you might be able to see her a bit better. And she's hiding behind the lantern because she does have a secret crush on Ephy. And he's busy doing his crafting, and she's there with her little knitted jumper with the hearts on it, trying not to be noticed. And I just added the moon in above the picture. So this was just an extra page because, if you may remember, this particular Dephemerember, there were gaps and you could just add in whatever you wanted. So this was just a page apropos of nothing in particular, and it's just a little journaling space, and I popped that into a little tuck spot there. Now the next page, which was not ancient was it? It was vintage meets modern. And I thought, well, what is more modern than a badger standing on a railway platform with his mobile phone train spotting? So here we have, let me introduce Barry. Barry the badger, train spotting, but he has a very active imagination, and he's waiting for a very different train to come out of the station. And here we have this lovely steampunk train. I had absolute great fun making this. and designing it and everything. Really enjoyed that, and making the tunnels out of I think I used stencil and modelling paste through the stencil, and then had used a lot of the distress inks on there. But Barry at the Badger, actually, this is really how he sees himself. Barry the steampunk badger. And so there he is. So yes, that was my vintage meets modern. Turn the page again and we get to Nature's Treasure. So very delicate page, this one, which is why I put a piece of vellum over it. And on here we got some flowers that I'd pressed from the garden a couple of years ago. So I've used, and the digital background is one of my designs, and feathers that I've picked up again in the garden, and some tiny little seashells, very delicate, that I've had for years, and they were sitting on the windowsill, and I thought, no, let's put them in with Nature's Treasures. So that's that page. Now this one was Magical Creature. So this really was my magical creature that I made, and she's another one of my printables, but she's Queen of the Light, and she's a light fairy, and these are the light people, the light creatures, and leave a little sparkle wherever you go, which was a bit too literal because the glitter's been falling off everywhere. This didn't work as well as I would hope, but it's a waterfall card, but it didn't stick properly at the back, so it just needs a bit of help opening it. So you can just see, so we had all these little creatures of the lamp shining their light in the darkness of winter. And that's the other side of my digital printable. And the next prompt was Recycled Fairy. Well, I had several fairies that could have been recycled, but I couldn't resist. I had to change it slightly, and we have instead a fairy, and she's putting out the recycling. And she recycled what she found on my desk, and this wasn't made up. This was literally on my desk, all the bits and pieces, from a button to a flower to a bit of cotton wool with a bit of glitter on it, and one of the little mini paper clips, and flowers and butterflies and all sorts of things. And she put it all together on the back of the card. And then on this page, again, I used them in modelling paste here, and one of my favourite Tim Holtz and Stampers Anonymous stencils. I love that stencil. And then I made a little tuck spot there with an embossed spider's web. So you see what I mean? I mean, she's a fairy. She had to have glitter, so that was more glitter. And I'm somebody who rarely uses glitter, so I'm not quite sure what happened with this journal. This is another one of the pages that was just add-in pages. So let me introduce you to another little character, Lavender Mole, and start doing things you love. And there he is, little Katie Country Mouse, and she's knitting, and she's obviously knitted Lavender Mole a tea cosy and a waistcoat with the wool. And here we've got Moley reading his book and doing a painting. And there she is, she's doing her knitting in the top picture. She's doing some embroidery there, and she's actually crafting in that one. She's making a little journal. I don't know how well that comes out on the camera, but she's got a little pair of scissors in her hand. So she's joining in. And this was just a fill-in page, really. Just be you. Just a very simple background and a bit of stenciling through a stencil and there's a tuck spot in there and another tuck spot down there. A little tiny journaling card. And so I think this was the next prompt, wasn't it? And it was a butterfly and 3 torn things. So for the first torn thing, I took some vellum, and you can see I tore it along there, put some little did some stamping on there. The background was also torn, but it hasn't really come out, and I stuck it all together. It's a bit like a jigsaw puzzle. And I made a snippet strip, so that was all torn bits and pieces. And then we have the butterfly, and there's a bit more torn on there. I've got sort of torn bits on here, and that was torn. So I think I qualify for the 3 torn things. We've got quite a lot. And these beautiful cut out butterflies. I love these die cuts. So, and that's got a little journaling card on the back to put something on, and that was from last year's Daphne's diary journal after I cut it up. And they make lovely backgrounds for journaling cards to pop in. So we'll pop you back in there. And the next one we have, which was salvaged birds. So I took that and changed it slightly, as you can see. Birds salvage yard. So I made a little sign that said birds salvage yard. So right, my icicles get in the way when I put the journal back. And I'll go and skew again. That's better. So made a little thing, and then I made another little note down here, aged it all, made it look really sort of old and grungy, and junk is treasure, because if you make junk journals, junk absolutely is treasure. So these were the birds by Tim Holtz that you've probably seen in a lot of journals, and I just aged them, made a background with some old zinc bars. I mean, it's a real junkyard, and it's actually owned by the birds, and you can find just about everything in their junkyard. And I'm afraid Katie Country Mouse and Ephy, he came to visit again in the summer by the look of it, and this one was a friendship bracelet. And he just popped in and out, and he had to go back to Austria at the time, because Luise was still living in Austria then. And but he just popped in for a flying visit, and Katie made him a little bracelet to take back, and here we've got Ephy and Katie. Friendship across the miles. And the next prompt was the kintsugi houses, and I enjoyed doing this one as well. For this one, it was just basically I got a picture of a Japanese house and just envisaged this sort of house cracking and somebody painting gold paint and putting it all back. This one is one of my digital printables, and lovely Japanese lady, and she's all her gold paint, and then a little tuck spot there, and that's a little vase. I think it's all been mended with gold embossing on there, and then I embossed some cherry blossom on the back and popped that in there as well. And I think it's a bit like life. You get broken and you get cracks in you and things go wrong, and you can still become something of beauty even though you're falling to pieces. But it's just different, and I love this idea of the Japanese, the kintsugi. That was that page. This one, as you can see, was forgotten snacks. Yes, I had to have a squirrel. Well, this is Colours of Nature art, so I had to have a squirrel. So here is middle of winter, thinking to himself, I know I had some acorns and some nuts and I've buried them. Where are they? And that's him and a little bubble in. He's just trying to remember what he did with his snacks. And then on this other page, this is where he lives. So it's just a little button for a door handle. And there he is inside, drinking his cup of acorn coffee, little door key on the door, and his muffler hanging up as it's winter. So that was my interpretation of forgotten snacks. This was just again another fill-in page, and just find the joy in the ordinary. The next one was, I have to say, a challenge. Spaghetti box window. Well, I'm gluten-free, so I don't really like the alternative version to proper spaghetti. I tried making things out of boxes, out of signs on the box that said spaghetti windows. It just wasn't working. So I thought, okay, think outside the box. So we had bricks made of spaghetti. So here they are, a wall made of spaghetti, and then the window bit is on the top. And I made some shutters to go there. And I used Shabby Shutters Distress ink, which my first distress inks that I bought was Black Soot and Vintage Photo, which I think a lot of us start off with those two. And then I discovered Shabby Shutters, fell in love with it, and then, as you can guess, I just kept having to get the next ink and the next ink. So I've gradually built up over time. Couldn't afford to buy them all at once. So here we are. We've got the shutters, and open the shutters. And what a beautiful view. Imagine waking up and opening your shutters every morning in your windows and seeing that outside. That'd be lovely. This again was another infill page, and it was a page that I did quite a long time ago, and it didn't have a home. It had just been floating around various places, so I put that in here. And I think that's true, that the soul that sees beauty may sometimes walk alone. And then we come to the last page as another one of Ephy and Katie, and they've built a snowman, and it's really snowing hard and they're having great fun. And that's another one of my digital printables at the back. Well, I promised you a surprise ending to a junk journal, didn't I? So we have to turn the journal back to here. And what lies in here? Just a moment and you will see.
Peaceful, starlit and blessed, the creatures curled up safe in their burrows and nests, when all of a sudden a commotion arose, which quivered their whiskers and trembled their toes. The ground below them vibrated and shook, so much so that it woke up a rook, who wasn't best pleased to be knocked out of bed when a book of fine art fell down on his head. Woodland inhabitants, safe in their holes, hung on to their tails and prayed for their souls, for never before had such a clamor been heard, or such a disturbance ever occurred. A jangle, a clanking, ecstatic like lightning, flashed through the trees. It was very frightening. A mole and a vole crept in with the rabbits, and a very scared badger hid in a cabinet. fresh shrubbery and assisted by gnomes. And there in the glade was a sight to behold, a bizarre and peculiar new sort of mold. It was Fungus roboticus, a very new genus, who were proud of the fact they were heterogeneous. But something they just could not understand was why green vegetation covered the land. The Fungus roboticus sounded most weird, all harsh and monotonous. They'd been engineered. Forest creatures put their paws over their ears and wished the Fungus roboticus had never appeared. The forest was full of dewdrops and dust. Roboticus worried their circuits would rust. They couldn't make sense of nature so strange. It was entirely beyond their processing range. So Fungus roboticus departed with a clickety-clack, and forest folk fervently hoped that they never came back.
Hope you've enjoyed looking through my journal, and if you have and you'd like to give me a thumbs up, I'd really appreciate that. It would just help YouTube to know that my little channel is here. And also, if you'd like to subscribe, that would also be lovely. And click the bell to receive notifications. And any comments or questions about the journal, please do comment below and I will answer. So thank you ever so much for watching. I really appreciate it and hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.